Welcome to Inside the Indians, your source for insider information on the Tribe. Stay with us as we bring you the latest about the players, managers, and people behind the scenes at Victory Field. Now here's your host, the longtime broadcast voice of the Indians, Howard Kellman.
Hi everybody, I'm Howard Kellman and welcome to Inside the Indians. On today's show, we'll talk to Tribe manager Brian Esposito, the Indianapolis Indians pitching coach Stan Kiles, and the catcher Jacob Stallings, who's having an outstanding season. We'll be back with Brian Esposito on Inside the Indians. First guest, as always, on Inside the Indians, the manager of the Tribe, Brian Esposito. Brian, this looks like a really good ball club we have together here.
Yeah, we're starting to gel. We're starting to do some things as a group. You know, you got to get a group of guys come out of spring training. It takes a little bit of time. They always ask, you always want a clubhouse with chemistry. What comes first? Well, you throw a couple of wins together, and then the chemistry starts to brew right there. Everybody wants chemistry, but chemistry is acquired, and a lot of it's coming, from winning a few ball games, which we have done. So. We're starting to gel as a team.
And I think one of the guys who's made tremendous improvement is Austin Meadows.
Yeah, he's been working really hard. He's healthy, and he's taking advantage of that opportunity to continue to work hard every day, whether it's the outfield play, his base running. He's doing a lot of things that he hasn't done in the past that's kind of getting him over the hump, and a lot of it is just him taking some risks. He works on some things, and in order to get it to transfer to the game requires a level of risk, and he's starting to take those risks.
Well, you deserve a lot of credit for that, and it began before last year when you talked to him when he was rehabbing last season.
Yeah, I saw him play a little bit last year when he came through, before he came back up here, and it was just a matter of asking him what he thought about the kind of player he was, and I just didn't see the risk ability. I mean, he's got a tremendous amount of talent, he's got a ton of tools. There just needed to be some edge to it, and I think we're starting to create some of that.
Jacob Stallings has been sensational. Tell us your thoughts on him.
He's a tremendous leader, tremendous teammate, and that stuff carries over to the field. You get rewarded for doing a lot of good things. He's very selfless in terms of how he goes about his business behind the plate. We've had some lopsided games, and he's continuing to block balls and really grind out games, and he's getting rewarded at the plate. He's really stingy. He chokes up off the knob. Nothing's really sexy about him, but he just gets the job done.
I think that's really interesting. You mentioned that nothing's really sexy about him, but he works very hard, and you talked about his approach to hitting, why he's doing so well.
Yeah, he's just exactly that. He knows who he is. He's confident in his ability. He spreads out, and he puts the ball in play. And when other things happen, you find the barrel a lot, and that's what he's doing. He's finding the barrel, and he's finding holes.
You're a former catcher, too. Do you talk to him ever about calling a game?
Yeah, we talk a lot about different things and how hitters are setting themselves up, and, there's just a lot of different things that looking at adjustments and how guys and what they're doing in the box from at-bat to at-bat. So we dive into a lot of conversations in the office. We watch some video. And then as the game goes on, we continue to talk a little bit. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He knows what he's doing. It's fun to chat it up with him a little bit and find out what his thought process looks like.
So you make a great point. We'll discuss this with Jacob too on the show, is that at-bat to at-bat, you as a catcher can see a minute change in a hitter's stance that probably nobody else can.
Well, if you have a guy that's running the ball in the inner half, some guys like to take a stride off the plate. You have a guy that's trying to get the job done, move some runners over, their tendency is to kind of back up off the plate. Those adjustments aren't made as much as you would think they were in the past. Guys used to sell out to getting the job done, but in this day and age where it's a lot about slugging and driving runners in, and the strikeout is a little bit, more because we're looking to do some damage. So we just got to recognize those adjustments. Who's looking to drive the ball out of the ballpark, and who we can bury, who we can put away.
And how are you finding this your first year? Because you managed an A-ball for several years. How are you finding the AAA level?
It's all the same to me. It's just a matter of the game, the pace, and moves a little bit quicker. Guys have a better idea. They get the balls quicker. So the biggest challenge is just coaching third base from A-ball to here, because guys are a little bit better in their routes. They're more efficient with their throws. They make better decisions. So you could be aggressive, but guys are a little bit better, so you got to be on top of your game.
I think as a third base coach, when there are men on first and second, and there's a base hit, right center field, right field, you have a challenge because you're dealing with two base runners.
Yep. Yeah, the thing that we preach to these guys a lot is your mentality's always got to be, we're scoring on everything. You're scoring on everything. That builds a trust that I know that guy's giving his best effort, so I know if I can wave him around or not, and who I need to hold up on the backside. So if I know that lead runner is running as hard as he can, and the trail runners running just as hard, I'm able to make some decisions a lot sooner and a lot easier than I ordinarily would if you have some guys that are coasting. But our guys have been doing a really good job of running hard with the mentality to score on everything.
Well, the mentality to score on everything is great, but one thing you've done very well, you haven't run yourself out innings. You don't want to do that too and be overly aggressive.
Well, that's the thing, is that you take your calculated risks. If you know what information is being provided by whether the outfield's arms, guys that, what glove is the hand on, or are they going to the line, are they going away from the line? So those are things that you kind of look at before the series starts, and then we just try to pick apart weak links, and that's what we do. We take advantage of the weak links, and we know who the strengths are, and we kind of, play a little reserve baseball when those guys are coming up. We're aggression, but it's calculated and it's intelligence.
This is different than the big leagues where everybody knows each other so well. So let's say you're in a situation with a man on second, there's a base hit. Do you know the strengths of each outfielder's arms, especially if they're a new player?
I try to dive in a little bit on some information, from level to level. Maybe reach out, make a phone call to somebody that saw this guy play, and whether he was in the Eastern League, I'll call down to AA and find out, ask some of these players. And then a lot of times I'll just come out early and watch these guys either take infield. They don't take infield, outfield as much as they used to, but I'll find opportunities to watch guys throw, and I kind of make my own decisions off that.
You mentioned not taking infield and outfield. I've had scouts and people in baseball, players, coaches say that sometimes outfielders' arms aren't as strong as they used to be years ago because they're not taking infield.
Yeah, they don't throw a whole lot. We don't take infield, outfield the traditional way anymore. We do a lot of our infield work, but our outfield work, we incorporate a lot of decision making, where we'll call out a situation with a runner on base somewhere where there's a level of decision that has to be made. Where am I throwing this ball? Where's the cutoff man going to be lined up? So it's your non-traditional infield outfield, but we make sure our outfielders throw as much as they possibly can and as much as they want to.
What are your feelings as you look ahead for the next few weeks for this Indianapolis Indians team?
We are finally getting over the hump of we're starting to know who we are, what we're good at, what we need to get better at. So we're able to come out here when we get home and take advantage of these work days and really pinpoint what it is we need to get better at and continue to sharpen the sword of our strengths. That's what you do. You want to take advantage of these work days at home, and that's what we're really going to do this month of May. The weather's a lot nicer. The work days are going to be a little more crisp because of that, so we're going to take advantage of them.
You mentioned getting better. That should be everybody's goal, to get better every day.
Yeah, without a doubt. If you don't have that mentality coming through the door of the clubhouse, that lunch pail mentality of I'm going to work and I'm going to get something done, you're in the wrong place.
Brian, appreciate your hard work. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you on the next show. That's Brian Esposito, the manager of the Tribe, on Inside the Indians. The Indianapolis Indians pitching coach, our next guest on Inside the Indians. And Stan, give us your overall feelings and thoughts on this year's pitching staff.
Well, again, I think we have a very talented group. It's taken us a while to get some traction here for the season. We've got some guys that's adjusting to the AAA level, particularly in our starting rotation with Austin Coley and McRae. But those guys are adjusting well. I mean, they're looking forward to each start. They're working hard in between. We've got some guys returning, obviously, with Epler and Holmes. We just lost Kingham for all the good reasons. But it's taken us a while to get some traction. There's been some inconsistency, but I like the talent, and I think in the long run we're going to be solid.
Stan, you mentioned Nick Kingham. Congratulations. He had the great big league debut not too long ago. Give us your thoughts on him, because he pitched very well here and was deserving.
Well, I mean, it's a kid that's always worked hard and a fierce competitor. He went through some injuries. He had the Tommy John surgery, and this was the first year in a long time he's had a chance to come in the spring training, have a solid winter of getting strong and getting himself prepared to compete, not to compare it to be healthy. So I think that all showed. I mean, he came to spring training in great shape, eager to get after it, and we're just as pleased as punch he's been able to do the things he's been able to do.
So he made his big league debut at home against the Cardinals. There's stress, there's pressure. It's your big league debut, there's nerves. And not only did he hold his own, he was simply outstanding. taking a perfect game into the 7th inning, which during your big league debut is incredible.
How about that? I mean, if we could all be that fortunate. But again, he's a guy that we've always been highly thought of, you know, and he's always had the emotional stability to go in there and do things like that. And it was just a matter of getting healthy and getting the reps in. But to go up there and have a big league start like that, I mean, he's got to be thinking, well, I mean, what do I do after this? What's my encore? We're actually looking forward to his encore. You know, just a great guy and a great competitor, and we're looking for great things from him.
Speaking of the big leagues and the Pirates, you told me last year at the beginning, watch this Trevor Williams. He's a great competitor. He has a lot going for him. And look at the success that he's had at the major league level this year with Pittsburgh. He really competes.
Well, yeah, and that's really what it's all about, Howard. I mean, a lot of times, you know, you can bunch a lot of big group of guys, and you know, as far as talent. But when you see things that stick out, and for me with him, it was just this tenacity about him. But it was always he's such a competitor, but he was always able to think his way through things. You could have great conversations with him, and you could just tell by talking to him and watching him work that he had a chance to be really special. So the things he's doing right now are, for me, you know, it's what I anticipated him doing, and I anticipate him doing it for a long time.
You know, you mentioned Tyler Epler earlier, and he's got some things he's added to his repertoire which really helps his game this year.
Absolutely. He tried long and hard to get me to ask the organization to allow him to throw a two-seamer, and we didn't think that was going to be a good time for him to do it. This year, he's incorporated it into his repertoire, and it's really gotten him into getting the ball on the ground a little bit better, which really enhances the rest of his pitches. So we're looking for good things from him, too. I mean, he's had some great starts for us so far, and it's good to see him take what he learned from last year and incorporating the pitch and getting off to a good start this year.
Now, Clay Holmes is in his second year here. Tell us your thoughts on him.
He had a chance to go up to our big league staff and get some practice up there, some experience. So he got a chance to get up there, and so it's good to see him understand his purpose now. His purpose is to prepare himself for when he gets there. Oftentimes, guys don't get a chance to do that. They're such in a rush to get there. But I think it's an advantage for him to go up there and learn some things now to come back down here. And now he's got a different perspective, a different mindset, and I think that's going to bode well for us and our big league team.
What's the difference from your perspective in your job working with a starting pitcher as opposed to a relief pitcher?
Well, I mean, obviously with a starter, you get a chance to get a little bit more hands-on, to really talk through the mental part of the game a lot better, a lot more. The relievers, not so much. You know, it's tough to get those guys. I mean, they're always being called on to be ready for every game. So it's hard to get rid of those, you know, use up those bullets in the in-between time. But we have our moments. We get a chance to do a lot of stuff during the throwing program, and they do get a chance to get on the side a little bit. So you get a chance to get some things done with them as well.
And a final question for you, Stan. You mentioned throwing on the side. A starter will do it between starts. Can a lot be accomplished doing that?
Well, absolutely. Most of it is just maintenance. I mean, I firmly believe that a lot of the mechanics things that they should get done is an off-season thing. And once the season starts, it's pretty much now you're thinking a lot more. You're getting into more of a competitive mold, and so you know the side work is good to keep them you know, in tune with their deliveries and such. But you know, when it's time for the season to start, so I want them to be mind, body, and spirit on competing in the game.
Stan, congratulations on all you've achieved. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you later during the season.
All right, Howard, good to talk.
That's Stan Kiles on the home of the Indians, WHMB TV 40. Indianapolis Indians catcher Jacob Stallings is our next guest on Inside the Indians. Jacob, you're off to one terrific start this year, both offensively and defensively. Let's get your thoughts, and congratulations on what you've achieved.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been good. I think we, as a team, got off to a little bit of a inconsistent start, but I think we're starting to play more consistently lately, both offensively and defensively. And yeah, I mean, been put in some pretty good positions to hit for my teammates, and made my at-bats maybe a little easier. So, but yeah, it's been a good start, and hopefully we can keep going.
You mentioned the hitting. You're among the league leaders in hitting. Tell us a little bit about your approach and your philosophy of hitting.
I just try to get a good pitch to hit. I really try to, yeah, like you said, just stay in my approach and hit fastballs the other way and try to stay on breaking balls. And then if I get 2 strikes on me, just battle and try not to chase anything out of the zone. Just keep it simple and be on time and put the barrel to the ball.
The only way someone can hit the way you're hitting for average is not to try to do too much, not to try to be hitting home runs and getting into bad habits.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true for me. Anytime I try to do too much, I get into trouble, and that's why I really try to hit the ball the other way, because if I try to pull it, then that usually means I'm trying to do too much, and doesn't put me in a good spot to hit off-speed pitches. So just try to stay within myself and not do anything more than I'm capable of doing.
During batting practice, do you try to accomplish things?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I really stay the other way, hit balls the other way in BP a lot, and do a situational round and a 2-strike round to practice hitting runs and that type of thing, and my 2-strike approach. And yeah, so I think BP can be very valuable.
Many people feel the biggest intangible in baseball is a catcher calling a game because it means so much to his team. Do you feel that way? And tell us your feelings on calling a game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's been the thing that I've really learned a lot about is, you know, when I got called up to the big leagues the first time, I was a little overwhelmed with how fast the game was up there and trying to get Buster Posey and Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant and guys like that out. And so I really learned how important it was to take that part of the game seriously, and I've been really lucky. I've had Tom Prince as a manager for 2 years. He caught in the big leagues for a long time, and now I have Espo as a manager, and learning a lot from them being former catchers as well.
Do you really study hitters? For instance, a hitter can come up his 3rd time in a game. There could be a minute change in his stance, which you can notice and maybe nobody else can.
Yeah, I mean, I think guys change the way they hold the bat. They might choke up, alter where they are in the box if they're going to guess a pitch. And then, you know, just being experienced, calling pitches against these hitters before and knowing their tendencies and their swings and that type of thing all goes into pitch calling for sure.
Let's talk about the influence your dad, Kevin, had in that he's not a baseball guy, but he's still a big man in basketball. He was a head coach at Vanderbilt for many years, at Pitt. Tell us the influence that your dad has had in your career.
Yeah, I mean, I think what he ingrained in me ever since I was young is just kind of the everyday mentality of not taking a day off, not taking a rep off, and just always giving your best. And you know, that's kind of been my whole goal throughout my baseball life, is just to see how good I can become. And if I don't give it my best every day, then I'm not going to reach my potential. So I would say that's what he ingrained in me, and then just being there for me, just kind of, you know, debrief after a tough game or whatever sport it might have been, and just kind of tell me what he saw and give me a coach's perspective, I guess. So it's been fun.
How do you feel toward the end of the season? You know, because catching takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just depends. The last couple of years, I've been in Pittsburgh as the 3rd catcher in September the last 2 years, so I wasn't playing a whole lot, so I felt pretty good at the end of the season. But you know, at the end of a AAA season, you know, I think mentally everybody's probably pretty drained, and as a catcher, you know, it starts to take a toll on the body. You got to be smart about lifting weights and staying in shape and that type of thing. And it just kind of depends, I guess. Some years good, some years pretty sore.
What do you do in the off season to work out?
I usually take a month off from everything after the season's over, and then I get back into lifting weights, probably 3 weeks. So I take about 2 months off from all baseball activities, and then start to hit and throw and get it cranked back up for the season.
Now here's a question for you, and you'll be advising young catchers on this. Guys work out in the weight room. Squats are something a lot of people do, but a catcher is squatting during a game. So is it good for a catcher to go into the weight room and do squats?
I think it depends on every guy. I don't back squat because I'm a tall guy and it kind of hurts my back to back squat, so I do deadlifts from the ground. And I like to do them because it keeps my legs strong. But you definitely have to be smart, because especially when you're catching a full season like this, got to stay as fresh as you can and as healthy as you can. So, but I know some guys that squat a lot of weight during the season, so it just depends on the guy, I guess.
Jacob, congratulations
Thanks,
on all
Howard.
you've achieved. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
That's Jacob Stallings on Inside the Indians. We thank our guests, Brian Esposito, the Indianapolis Indians first-year manager, tri-pitching coach Stan Kiles, and catcher Jacob Stallings. We'll see you in 2 weeks on Inside the Indians.